You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for joining us on American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by Ethan Euchre.
Glad to be here.
Jeff Wagstaff.
Howdy, howdy. Thanks for having me.
Glad the two of you are here, as well as that man over there, world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati.
Are you glad I'm here?
Of course
we're
ecstatic you're here, Doc.
Come on now.
Well,
I'm not.
Well, we have an exciting show coming up for you. We are going to hear about a story of recovery, of course, and then your healthcare playbook. That should be interesting. Isn't that about repealing Obamacare?
He's going to talk about that, but
Yeah.
it's really just about, he uses a lot of football analogies. It's
Right.
Dr. Dennis DeRule, and
Right.
He's going to come in studio, actually. And like I said, he uses a lot of football analogies to tell people how to take control of their own health care. And, of course, we'll talk about Obamacare and how long it's going to take to repeal that.
Well, then
Right.
let's huddle up and do it.
And then, of course, you'll hear what's new in American medicine today, like why Democrats are losing it, but did they ever have it to begin with? But we have right now joining us on the line is Amy Moser, author of The Magnificent Story of a Lame Author. She is also a blogger whose post titled "This Antibiotic Will Ruin You" has reached over 7.5 million hits, and she's here to talk about it. So thanks for being here, Amy.
Thank you so much.
I am so proud of you for taking what you've been through public, because I had heard horrible things about Cipro. And didn't your story start off with taking Cipro in 2010?
Yes, it did. I took it for a UTI.
Okay.
And what happened?
And shortly after, I had multiple tendon and ligament ruptures that followed.
Wow.
And when did you start to put that together, that it had something to do
Yeah.
with taking an antibiotic? I mean, if I had a ruptured tendon, I wouldn't think, hey, it was
Correct.
because I took Cipro, a few months ago or whatever.
Yeah, and it's common to not actually realize it right away. It took 9 months. My doctor asked me, over the course of many visits and many injuries, she kept asking me if I had taken Levaquin.
Okay.
And I didn't know what Levaquin was. So I kind of ignored it. I said, no, I've never taken Levaquin. And it wasn't until my Achilles tendon tore that she asked me again. And it started a thought process, and I went home and I typed it in on Google, and that actually pulled up fluoroquinolone antibiotics, and I saw that Cipro was listed there. I did print out that warning from the FDA that was it was available in 2010. It was not nearly as extensive as the one that is released now, but I took it to her at my appointment, and I showed her that Cipro was on there, and I had remembered taking that shortly before my knee actually dislocated. And she looked in my records, and she looked at it, and we had tested me for many rheumatologic conditions. I had been to multiple rheumatologists, and they had ruled out tons of stuff. They took biopsies, and everything was negative. But when she looked at my records, I had Cipro 2 weeks before all the ruptures had started.
Goodness.
So in my medical records, it does say that Cipro had to have been the culprit for my body suddenly falling apart.
Amy, when you first told us what happened, you made it sound so casual. Oh, my tendons and my ligaments ruptured. I can't imagine the kind of pain that would come from that.
Correct.
It was immense. It was an incredibly difficult time.
Well, you ended up having
and
like
for
over
my
20.
family.
You had to end up having over like 20 different surgeries on your joint, even your spine,
Yes,
right?
2010 and 2017, I've had 20 surgeries.
Unbelievable. But it wasn't Cipro made to combat anthrax?
It was, and it was actually made to be a last resort antibiotic after everything else had failed. Unfortunately, it's pretty much prescribed for common infections all the time, and as a preventative antibiotic in hospitals very commonly. So people are getting exposed to this antibiotic for prophylactic reasons or for minor infections without the knowledge that it can cause these damaging side effects.
But if it's supposed to be a last resort medicine, why is it their first? That's their first
I
choice.
honestly don't know. I really have. I think it's because they released the warning in the pharmaceutical packets to all the patients,
Right.
but they didn't notify all of the prescribing physicians in any type of notification in any way.
Right.
So the physicians didn't actually have the notifications that the patients were getting. So when patients are seeing, should I worry about my Achilles tendon? And they're asking their doctor, the doctor's going, no, don't worry about it. That's really rare.
Right.
The problem is that also this damage is irreversible.
Correct.
Wow.
Has the manufacturer of this drug been held responsible for what happened to you?
What do you think?
I had heard about a lawsuit that Citizen Vox did, and that actually was part of them updating the warning to be more extensive. And there's some fluoroquinolone vigilance type of groups that have gone to the government and asked for these to be for these warnings to be amplified, and they have. In May of 2016, actually, they updated the warning to be much more extensive than it was when I took the antibiotic.
I have to ask you, though, Amy, because they're going to say more extensive. How much more extensive can we get than these obnoxious commercials that are on there where for 5 minutes straight they're talking about warnings, contradictions, side effects, and then just effects of the medicine? I mean, how much more extensive? I can't even believe the FDA would allow these things on the market.
Honestly, I can't either, and I don't know why they haven't set out to really notify all of the prescribing physicians about these warnings.
Right.
I've seen so many doctors in the last few years, and about half of them know all about it, and about
Right.
half of them look at you like you have two heads and you're crazy.
Wow.
So, Amy, what are your what is
Yeah.
your advice to people? Because I mean, your average person, you're trying to get the word out. Obviously, almost 8 million people have read your blog about this.
Yeah.
You're
Very
appearing
important.
on our program, so we're helping to spread the word. Are there any alternatives to these drugs? I mean, what are the options that we as patients would have?
There are alternatives. I am advocating for patients to have a very open conversation with their doctor, to print the FDA warning if needed, to take it into their appointment, and to ask their doctor, is there any alternative to me taking this class of fluoroquinolone antibiotics? Can I take a penicillin antibiotic or a sulfa antibiotic or erythromycin? Or there are other antibiotic families to choose from. All antibiotics have side effects to some extent.
Right.
It just happens that fluoroquinolone side effects are so severe and so permanent. So it's worth it to sit down with your doctor and ask for an alternative. I demand an alternative. My doctor knows that I won't take it, so
Right.
she never prescribes it to me. So it is something that we can do to talk to our doctors and to update them on these warnings, and that this is more common than we actually realize.
Right. And it's okay to tell the doctor no if at first they're
It
not
is.
listening and they are unaware.
It is totally okay to tell your doctor no. You have the power in your hands to be your own advocate for your own health care. You need to know for yourself what is the best options for you, and we have to be responsible for that with our own health.
Certainly.
Amy, we're almost out of time, but for people listening and who may not have caught the name of the drug, what is the class of the family of antibiotics that they need to be aware of and to talk to their doctor about?
It's fluoroquinolones, and it's spelled FLUOROQUINOLONES. And many of the common names are Cipro, Levaquin, Avalox, Proquin, Factive. There's many names
Bunch
in
of
that
them.
antibiotic family, but that is the class of antibiotics that you have to be aware of.
Thanks for making us aware.
Thank you, Amy
Yes,
Moser.
you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're
got it.
welcome. Author of The Magnificent Story of a Lame Author.
Pick it up. Appreciate it. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Scary stuff.
Indeed.
Make sure you do your own due diligence. Make sure you stay tuned because we'll hear a story of recovery coming up next. You're listening to American Medicine Today. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonatti Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonatti spine procedures, Alfred Bonatti, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonatti and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bermel, joined by my friends Ethan Euchre,
Happy to be here.
Jeff Wagstaff,
Hello, friends.
yes, and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonatti.
Hi.
Hi. Well, when you think of spine surgery, it's something you never want to rush into, but when you have exhausted your conservative type methods, you've done the chiropractic, acupuncture, physical therapy, and you're just not getting back to the way that you were, and you still have these agonizing pains, and it starts affecting your ability to sleep, to work, to enjoy life, that's when you know you have to get true patient pain resolve. And we never like to see a patient who's been conned into fusion type surgeries. Things like screws, plates, wires, those things best left in your toolbox and never to be put in the spine, because we see the patients that have nerves that have been mangled and tangled by those things, and it causes them excruciating pain. With that said, we have a great show lineup for you. Not only are we going to hear a Back to Life segment, but we are going to talk about your healthcare playbook, so making sure that you're your own best advocate when it comes to your health. We're going to talk about why the Democrats are losing it. I think that's pretty much self-explanatory, but hey, who knows? And then, of course, we're going to talk about never giving up. But up first...
In today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonatti Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonatti Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
It is my pleasure to introduce to the program Tommy McDonald from Thenota Sassa, Florida. Thank you for joining us.
Tommy, you there? Hello?
Hello?
Houston, can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We had a little problem with our connection there, but yes, I'm good this afternoon. How are you?
Okay.
How's everybody doing?
We're
Great,
doing well.
great. Why don't you tell us how you came to be in pain? Was it something degenerative in nature, or were you in some sort of accident?
Well, I believe it was a combination of things. My mother suffers from the same thing, so I think it's part hereditary.
Okay.
But I've been an elevator service technician for 35 years. In my first 5 years, I did heavy construction,
Got it.
and then the next 30 years, as a serviceman, I had a walking route, carrying heavy tools, a lot of climbing.
Oh.
I think it was a combination of hereditary, age, and probably self-abuse from overwork.
Got it. So, when did you notice that the pain was getting to a point where it was really affecting your daily activities?
Oh, I had the problem since probably 25, and I dealt with it occasionally
Okay.
with chiropractic adjustments, and
Sure.
that seemed to work up to about a year ago.
Okay.
And it just got to be where the chiropractic adjusters weren't doing it anymore at all. Finally, I just decided I turned 55, and I was eligible for my retirement. The back bothered me bad enough. I just went ahead and did it.
Okay.
Went ahead and did the retirement, looked into the surgery. I didn't have to worry about a recovery time, didn't have to worry about going back to work afterwards. So it just seemed like the right time to do it finally after the years of pain.
And so how was it that you ended up at the Bonatti Spine Institute?
Well, of course, my chiropractor, he did the MRIs and he diagnosed it, and then he sent me, he told me go ahead and we should probably do some surgery on it, and he gave me a couple of different places. And Bonatti, I've heard the advertisements many years, and being an elevator service technician, I've actually worked on their elevator a few times, so I was familiar with the facility.
Okay.
And I just went ahead and did the consultation. I really liked the staff. The staff was just awesome from the day I walked in to my last visit. I can't say enough for the staff. Very well informed, right on time. There were no snags at all. It was just an unbelievable experience for a medical facility. Usually there's something, you wait, they've got to wait for something. Bonatti was right on the ball. They had everything in line ready to go. It's great.
And what was it like for you when you had your in-person evaluation?
Oh, they were real personable.
Okay.
Explained everything. Of course, from showing on the MRI, it's very visible, but very informative. They told me maybe 3 surgeries. We did it with 2. They told me after the first surgery I would probably have some reoccurring pain.
Okay.
we're just working on one little part at a time, and that's pretty much what happened. But after the second surgery, I've been pain-free. I haven't had no issues.
Now, shame on you. You jumped way ahead.
I'm sorry.
It's just because he wanted to skip to the good part, which is he doesn't have pain anymore. So.
And that's fantastic. That's always what we want to hear. But let's back you up just a minute. Okay, so there you are in the evaluation. Did you have to tell the doctors where your pain was, or did they kind of tell you what you were feeling?
They were able to tell me by looking at the MRI.
Okay.
They knew which nerves. They knew what damage was causing the problems where.
Okay.
And they were describing my symptoms to me. That was comforting.
Okay. And did they tell you that they would be utilizing something called conscious IV sedation?
I really quite didn't understand that. And
Okay.
with the pain at the time, I didn't care.
Okay. Well, the reason they do that is so that the patient can remain interactive, so that when they're working in that particular area, they know when they're getting close to that source of the pain, and they're able to have that direct communication, so they know that they're getting to that root cause of your problem.
I do remember that conversation when they mentioned that. I said, "Nah, I'd really rather be out."
And then
I'm a
they
big
went,
guy.
that's not an option. So,
Didn't even want to be there, but
Yeah.
that was a good experience. They when they put me out, they did their thing. They brought me out of it so we could communicate.
Correct.
And they identified some spots, and of course I chose to go back out, or at least I tried to, and I went back out afterwards. But I could see it on the screen. It was very interesting.
you did see it on the screen. That was going to be my question. Did you watch?
A little bit.
Okay.
Didn't really want to.
But when you saw it, I mean, it wasn't grotesque or anything, or at least
no, absolutely not.
Right.
No, it looked like a little tunnel, and you could see the laser spark. You
Correct.
could see the grinder.
right,
But no, it was not grotesque. It was nothing like that.
right. It didn't.
I remember you were a real wimp.
Dr. Bonatti.
Doc's calling you a wimp, Tommy. What do you think about that? Those are fighting words.
Well, I'll
But
tell you,
it-
if I would have the same surgery, I'll be a wimp too.
But you know the interesting thing about it, because I've been where you are, Tommy. I have been on the operating table watching my own surgery, and it is nothing short of amazing. Because you start to rationalize in your own head, if I went anywhere else, they're going to put me completely under. I would have no idea what they're doing, and I would wake up hours later and never know what the end-all result was until it's too late.
I can see that point, yes.
Right.
But you know, I said it's funny. I'm a big guy. I work construction. I deer hunt. I do all the outdoor stuff. So I really didn't have any ambition to watch my own self.
But that's okay. Every
Understandable.
Everyone's different in that way. But
Personal methods.
when did you notice a relief of the pain that brought you in? Because during the surgery, they typically have you try to recreate your pain to make sure that they've
He never did. He was
got-
sleeping all the time.
Oh, stop. But when Dr. Bonatti. No, but in all seriousness, when did you notice a relief of the pain that brought you in? I mean, they target things incrementally, but
Well, yeah, we had two surgeries.
Okay.
I had a serious pain down the front of my thigh
Okay.
and in the groin area.
sure.
And then I also had another pain going down the left side of my leg and
Okay.
into my lower leg, and it was creating a numbness.
Sure.
After they did the first surgery, the most severe pain, the inner thigh and the groin pain, was totally gone.
Right.
And when I woke up from the surgery, and I was probably still under a little bit of the anesthetic, about 2 days later or 3 days later, the other pain started to reoccur.
Your
or,
secondary
you know,
pain.
to rear its head.
Sure.
And but after the second surgery, when I woke up from surgery, it was gone. When I walked out to the car, it was gone. It
Yeah.
was unbelievable.
Kimberly, Kimberly, talking to Tommy, the thing that just kind of dawned on me, he retired early at 55 for the pain or whatever reason,
Right.
but now you're pain-free, you're 55,
Still young, yeah.
you're retired. Dude, you are living the dream.
No, you need to go back to work.
No, I hate to break it to you, but I got up at 5:30 this morning, went to Winter Haven, and fished the lake all morning, and was home at noon.
Ooh, very
So does that
nice.
mean there's bass for dinner?
There's always bass in the freezer.
So you're fishing again. So that's good news. And anything else that you were unable to do that now you're doing?
Well, my pain was so severe. I'm always active. I've got a
Okay.
workshop. I've got things to fix. I've got
Sure.
things to do. I'm always active, but the pain was so severe for at least the last from July until the surgery. Whenever I did a project, I have a workshop, I'd just open the door and things would just go inside, and I'd just close the door and I'd go back to sit down or lay down. The other day, it took me 5 days to empty my workshop and reorganize, to put everything back in. And it's just something I couldn't do. I couldn't even keep up with my yard work.
Right.
So,
and now you're back at it.
oh yeah, I'm hitting it hard trying to get it all done before this 95 and 97 degree heat comes. So.
Well, good luck with that. And make sure you send us pictures. We always like to see people back doing the things that they love. That never gets old.
Great. Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you.
Tommy.
Take care, Tommy.
Be good, Tommy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Benani. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you're suffering like Tommy McDonald did and you have pain that is preventing you from the activities you need to be doing, reach out to Bonati at Bonati.com or call 855-267-0483. Make sure you stay tuned because we're going to talk about your healthcare playbook. Exciting stuff. You're listening to American Medicine Today. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
Listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for listening to American Medicine Today. I am Kimberly Brumell, joined by Ethan Euchre
Glad to be here.
and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonati. And in studio, we have a great guest. Many Americans are confused about healthcare, facing higher premiums and growing costs. And joining us in studio is Dr. Dennis Durrell, author of Your Healthcare Playbook, Winning the Game of Modern Medicine. Well, it's about time that people should be winning. So thank you very much for being here.
It's absolutely my pleasure, and I agree. Healthcare is so confusing, and I use football analogies to keep it simple, and that's what we need today in healthcare.
Yeah, I definitely
Correct.
want to get into the book, specifically why you use football analogies. We'll save that.
Right.
What I really want to get into, because I know Doc loves to talk about it, Obamacare, repeal, replace. What are your thoughts on this whole process? Where are we going with it?
Well, I'm glad you asked. About 4 weeks ago, the day that they were going to have the vote, I was with a lobbyist. Actually, we were skiing, and she's from D.C., and she said, "That's it. They pulled the vote. It's dead for the next year." And I very much disagreed with that because I felt that they were going to come back with it. In fact, they did. And so where does it sit today? I think that the House is probably going to have a vote next week, potentially a little after that. As you know, there's been an amendment that has brought together the Tuesday Group and the Freedom Caucus.
Correct.
And it was done by Tom MacArthur in New Jersey. And I think that amendment has bridged that gap. And I know that they need 216 votes, as you know, and I think they were 12 votes short last time. I know they've closed that gap as well. And from the people that I've talked to, that's where we're going. I'll be up in D.C. on Tuesday meeting with the Doctor Caucus. I was invited. Those are all the doctors in Congress. And I may have more information then. But I'm going to give them some of my ideas. Now, once it gets by the House, of course, getting by the Senate is something completely different.
I thought that the vote was for today. Am I right?
No, they're not
Okay.
going to vote today.
No.
No, there's no vote today. And
There's no vote. Okay.
There's no, and all week, doing shows for my book, I've said they're not going to vote this week. And I also said that I believe they'll do the cost sharing for the insurance companies, which was a big issue.
Yeah.
I didn't think President Trump would withhold that, and he's not going to. He said that. So I think those are two things that we've seen this week. I think the vote will come either next week or a little bit after.
That's very good. Very good.
And I mean, what are your personal thoughts as a physician on Obamacare? And the way you smiled was like, I don't really want to get into my personal thoughts.
No, I'm happy to. First of all, I wrote this book to put patients above politics. So I just want to start out with that. And, so what do I feel? I feel like Obamacare was a 2,000-page bill. I read every page of it in research for this book.
How many times did you fall asleep?
Oh my gosh.
2,000 times.
Too many to count. Now, two of my sisters are lawyers. I needed them to refer to help me read it because it is a law and it was very hard to read. But what I was struck with was how broad, how expansive, how much control was in it, how much it said the secretary shall decide this, the secretary shall decide that.
Right.
I looked at tanning salons. I looked at restaurants having to put calories on their menu. Again, it's not that I agree or disagree. It was so broad and expansive. So if you ask someone about the Affordable Care Act and you say, do you like it or do you hate it? You can never like or hate the entire thing. It's kind of like the tax code. It's so big, you might like this deduction, but you don't like this.
But what I don't like is that they shoved it down our throat. You have to
gotta
pass
pass
it
it
to
before.
find out what's in it. That was the biggest lie of the decade.
Yes. Yes.
And then cost skyrocketed. So did you notice in your practice whether or not that it was beneficial for patients or?
Well, I think there's a couple of things to think about. You know, you think about the Affordable Care Act, the first part is giving people access to insurance.
Correct.
That's all we hear about, right? That's all we talk about.
Because that's
Right.
supposed to be the great thing about
That is it.
Right.
I mean,
You give someone insurance, that's it. They're healthy
Yeah,
and they're
that's great.
awesome. You know,
Awesome.
but as we know, I call it, using a football analogy, you have a ticket to get in the game as an insurance, but you might not have a seat when you get there. You know, that
Correct.
happened in the Super Bowl when it was in Arlington. 800 people didn't have a seat when they got there.
even though they bought a ticket.
They had a
Right.
ticket, and
Right.
it was a big issue. So I think being healthy or getting health care is a very different thing than having insurance. So, but let's just focus. That's the first part of the whole thing. The
Okay.
middle part of the law is actually to improve quality and decrease cost, what we call increased value.
Right.
I think that in that section of the law, that there are some innovative models that we're looking at that I think are making some progress. And in fact, Secretary Price is for some of them. When he was
Okay.
testifying, he brought that up. So I think overall there's some good things, but there's some people that were hurt. I think the biggest issue with the Affordable Care Act is it took half the people that were uninsured and gave them Medicaid instantly. And I'm not sure
Correct.
that was the right answer.
My problem is how you are going to increase quality and decrease cost. That's a dream of the Democrats. They are also dreaming something that is totally impossible to do. If you are going to have better quality, and you are going to increase the amount of access to the service, you need to have also cost, and you need to pay for that cost. And if you don't, then you are going to have what you have right now with Medicaid, that the individuals and doctors that they work in Medicaid, they have a lot of problems serving the population.
Yes.
And then the major trouble is when you really are sick and you have a Medicaid type of insurance, probably you are going to be sicker than what you were before.
Yes. Well, I think that there's some innovative models our company is working with where we're actually taking a layer of waste out of the system. So I agree that if you de novo had to increase quality without increasing cost, you'd have trouble. But in our system, we already have some waste. And so when people leave the hospital after a knee replacement, for example, if they go to a skilled nursing facility but they could go home, that's what we're working on. There's some savings there, and we think there's good quality there. So I think that here or there's some good answers, but you are right. Across the board, Medicaid has got to pay physicians more if the physicians are going to be better and they're going to give better quality.
Yeah, but they're trying to interfere with the training of the physicians, and they're trying to produce physicians that they are primary care physicians. Nothing against the primary care physician, but let me tell you this: if I need to go for a spine surgery to a primary care physician, I probably get paralyzed.
I
So
agree.
the major trouble is not that they don't know; they don't know at the extent of the training of somebody who has 5-6 years of training and then several years of practice.
Right.
So the problem that I see is that we keep working with parameters that they are very difficult to really produce a good result.
I agree. I do say that in my book, you need a good head coach, and your head coach is your primary care doctor. And like a coach, they refer some of that football coaching to the expert. So the head coach doesn't go to the linebackers and say, this is how you do it. They've got a linebacker coach. We need to send patients to the physicians that are trained and experts in orthopedics, and I agree with you with that.
But that is also that is something that never happens. When you have the one that you're calling a coach, that's a primary physician, the primary physician is going to be totally unaware of your problem. And then what he's going to do is going to treat you in a conservative fashion, quote unquote, that's nothing conservative, allowed in illnesses to become radically bad before it's being treated. But is being called a conservative. So they treat you in a conservative fashion. When they release that one to an expert, usually the damage is beyond repair or is not really caught at the right time. So this is what I don't agree on primary cares taking the responsibility of the patient. I prefer 100 million times more than the patient goes and look at the yellow pages or whatever it is and say, an orthopedic surgeon, I have a knee problem, I'm going to go there. That, and then know what referral you have. I'm not going to go to a family physician and tell me you have a knee problem because probably he knows very little about the knee problem.
Well, here's what I say. I don't disagree with that, but I do think having a head coach coordinates, at least they know that they went to an orthopedist. I know that it's interesting. My mom has a primary care doctor, and he said, you're wearing glasses. And she's like, that's right. He said, I didn't know you had an ophthalmologist. Who is it? I want that record. That's kind of what we need. But I don't disagree with your expertise. I think that if you have a back problem and it's clear, you can go right to a back issue in person.
I'm not advertising to just refer the patients wherever they need to go. I'm just saying that the beauty of the American medicine is not the European medicine.
True.
The European medicine is primary physician. The primary doctor will look at you and then will refer you whenever they feel like. But the American medicine is an expert who is being practically backed up by the industry, and that industry push that expert to get the best results and the best techniques. And you cannot imitate that one when you start to have lower the communication between patients and doctors.
Well, Dr. Dennis, tell us a little bit, because we're
Yes.
almost out of time and we haven't even really touched upon the book at all.
Okay.
You do obviously use a lot of football analogies, things like that. What's the biggest takeaway that people who read the book will get?
Okay, the biggest takeaway is that the NFL, the draft just started last night. The NFL is exquisite at understanding value, quality over cost. Right now, Americans are paying that out of their pocket because of high deductibles. My book helps them understand how to make the best value decisions the way the NFL does. If I get Tom Brady, when he was drafted, that 2 years later won the Super Bowl, he was paid $300,000. That's high quality, low cost.
Right.
That's what we're looking for in healthcare, and my book helps people through that confusing issue of quality and cost.
I love it, and people can get that at Amazon, I'm
Amazon,
guessing, anywhere.
went on sale. You can get it in bookstores pretty soon. It'll be in everywhere, but also Amazon right now.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Dennis Durrell, author of your healthcare playbook, Winning the Game of Modern Medicine.
And maybe we can have you back on after
Yeah,
you go to
absolutely.
DC, when you get back from DC, and we'll talk about all that.
I will come back and keep you in the loop anytime, and I appreciate the invitation. It's
Thank
wonderful
you.
to meet you all.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Make sure you stay tuned because we're going to hear what's new in American medicine today. You're listening to American Medicine Today. We'll catch you on the flip side of the break. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonatti Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonatti spine procedures, Alfred Bonatti, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonatti and your host, Kimberly Vermel.
I'm
If
not
you
coming
guys
here
were
anymore.
only privy to what happens behind the scenes. We have such a good time here. Thank you for joining us on American Medicine Today.
Doc just likes to give me a hard time because I have to be, even though he's the boss, I'm the producer, so I have to say, like, this is what we're doing.
What you say is, we're
you're
late.
not the ones that have to hold up signs and then,
But it's funny because Doc is technically my boss, but I'm the one bossing him around sometimes saying, turn your mic off, turn your mic back on, and I think he gets irritated.
I don't think there's any boss around here.
Anyway, we
got
have
that one.
Ethan Euchre, Jeff Wagstaff, and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonatti.
The boss.
Where are my Chick-fil-A nuggets?
Doc's going to say this in a minute.
You're fired.
And we're going to check on this, right?
Trump's triumph.
Yes,
Which
and what is that
triumph?
triumph?
What are we talking about?
The Democrats are losing their ever-loving minds. Now that is the triumph of all triumphs. Take it away, Doc.
I'm not going to take it away now. You just continue.
You just summarized everything he's going to say.
I know. They're just shaking themselves and crying, and they're rocking
Well, let me
themselves
ask
to
you a
sleep.
question. What do you think about Tom Perez? The name is Thomas Perez.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
think
what
about
do you
Tom
think
Perez.
about?
I feel completely ignorant because I have no idea who you're talking about. I'm not going to lie.
Well, that's the DNC chair.
That's why I didn't know who it was.
That is a guy who used profanities in all his speech in front of children and women.
You mean the tolerant left? No.
And you can't believe how rude the guy.
Yeah.
That the worst part of it fits perfectly with Democrats. So they show exactly what they are.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they
Two-faced snakes?
they don't resent that action. If Trump will do something like that, will be a national world scandal.
Well, that is the whole point.
Yeah.
You know, that's the hypocrisy of it, is that all they did was give Trump crap for the fact that he didn't give a crap and would just say whatever was on his mind. I mean, he wasn't really dropping profanity left
Right.
and right, but
But you need to listen to this guy. I mean, I don't know if you have the opportunity to listen to the guy. Is an absolutely
Was he wearing his
absolutely ass.
hat?
Really?
That's all I want to ask.
what hat?
And the worst part of it
That
is
hat.
the
I
worst
know-
part
I
of
know
it
one.
is trying to bring their party to practically gain what they lost on these elections.
You know what it,
I don't really think with this attitude can gain anything.
well, you know what it reminds me of, Doc, is the whole when the Tea Party movement started on the Republican side, because they were fed up with stuff and they said, let's try to generate some attention, some interest, some support. That's what I feel like he's trying to do. They're calling it the unity tour and this and that, but it doesn't seem to be.
But it's
Well,
divisive.
you can't
How
go
can it be
message.
unity when it's all divisive?
But you can do that one intelligent, like the
agree.
Tea Party did.
I agree.
Okay, with courtesy, with the behavior, with social behavior, with
Conservatism?
I mean, acting like somebody in that position, in that power.
Right.
But this man is unbelievable. I can't believe they elect him and they keep him. But you know,
They
don't
had
get-
Pelosi. They had Reid.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Fits right in.
Did you see the T-shirts that they were selling? I love
Oh my
that
God!
part.
Did you see those ones?
No.
Democrats give an S about people. And they were selling them for $30
Yeah.
on the Democratic Party's official
Because
online
we needed
store.
you
Yeah.
to give an S.
If they really did
How
give an S,
sweet it is.
Hillary would be in office.
How
Well, they-
sweet it is to be loved by you.
You know what the ultimate irony of all this is and I watch, well, I'm not plugging it because I've always watched ABC Action News locally and ABC News nationally, but I'm dumbfounded by the national news correspondents and how blatantly biased they are.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is now is they don't have anything to complain about, so they keep going back to taxes. They keep going back. Are you going to release your tax return? It just seems.
When Russia doesn't work, they go to the tax return.
Well, you mean Trump was going to be the lapdog of the Russians?
Right.
And now it seems like Trump's standing up to him more than
Exactly.
ever.
Yeah. No.
Yep.
And
So
then when
you
that
know
doesn't work,
the
they'll be
approval
with
rate
their
that
hot
they
cocoa.
had, the approval rate that they had in the last poll that they have from, I think was ABC, they dropped from 48% to 28%. That means that even the Democrats are walking out from this type of a behavior.
Right.
And as much criticism as the current administration has received came out this last week that if the elections were held today, all the bad mouthing, all the terrible things that have been said,
We're not doing anything.
Trump would still be elected.
Yeah. And not only that, 96% of the people who vote for Trump will vote again for him.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
that's an incredible number, man.
Yeah, but then again, and I pointed this out last week because there was some Rasmussen poll or something like that saying that Trump's approval rating is at like 45%, which is the lowest at this point in a presidency of the last like 4 or 5 presidents. And
Can you imagine how good it will be if we'll not have all the media that is against them,
Right.
against him, talking every 5 minutes is something that is totally unfair. They don't talk about the things that this man is doing. They just talk about why he didn't release his taxes. Well, you know something? I will not release my taxes either. Why? It's not an obligation. It's not a right.
Right.
So
I never understood the fascination with that.
No, they said they
I-
have
the fascination
it.
is that they want to see their taxes and find small little holes there and talk for a year about that one. He
No,
will be
he
stupid to
did.
release the
He
taxes.
turned it in. Don't you know? They're under the pile of the Hillary emails
Yeah.
and everything else. They're sitting right there.
For the Russians to
you're
find.
Yeah, they're just underneath the others. So when those are finally released, then hey,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
get to see his taxes.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, Ethan, before we go,
Yeah.
people have a lot of choices as what they listen to today. Whether you're listening to us on the radio, whether you're watching the TV show, whether you're watching the stream, we want to say thank you. Whether you spend a few minutes with us, whether you listen every week, you have a lot of choices, and we just want to say thank you for listening to American Medicine today.
We
Thank
absolutely
you.
do.
Yes.
All right.
Well, make sure you tweet at Dr. Bonatti using hashtag American Medicine Today or hashtag AMT. We always like to hear from you. Make sure you like us on Facebook and check us out not only on WFTS ABC 28, but nationally on Bloomberg, and then also internationally on iHeartRadio, keyword Bonatti, keyword AMT.
You think they could pick us up on ISS, on the
Probably.
space station?
I think
Because that would be like interstellar almost.
That
right? We're not just
would be
international. We're outside
worldly.
the
Worldly.
scope of the
That would-
planet.
Let's
would
get a
be
banner.
planetary.
Let's get a banner on the
That looks-
space station.
You don't think they want
AMT on the moon.
the astronauts
Yes.
want to listen to us, Doc? Come on. now.
I think so.
Hey, we're only saying goodbye to our flagship station,
Yes.
by the way. We have Jenny Marr coming up,
Yes.
who's a quadriplegic, and she wrote a book called Never Give Up. It's all about misconceptions about life with paralysis. So
Correct.
for
Make sure
everybody
you
else,
stay tuned.
that's on
Yep.
the way.
And we'll talk at you next time.
Bye-bye.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonatti Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonatti spine procedures, Alfred Bonatti, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonatti and your host, Kimberly Brummel.
Thanks for listening to our affiliate stations. To American Medicine Today, I'm Kimberly Brummel, joined by Ethan Euchre,
Happy to be here.
Jeff Wagstaff,
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonatti.
I'm here.
It sounds like you're dying, Doc.
It's the end of the show, Doc.
yeah.
Hold it together
Well,
for 10 more minutes.
in all seriousness,
I'm hungry.
it's a pretty tough topic. People often wonder what it's like to live with paralysis. And joining us right now is Honorable Air Force veteran and quadriplegic Jenny Mayer, whose latest book, Never Give Up, details her struggles with the condition. Thanks for joining us, Jenny.
I thank you for having me.
Yes.
And Jenny, now just tell us, give us some background. How did you come to be paralyzed in the first place?
It was through overdosing. After overdosing, I had sat in a closet with my knees up and my neck forward, and they said that my neck being forward that way, it kicked off the blood vessel leading to my spinal cord, and it killed that part of the spinal cord at C5, C6.
Wow.
Just by having your knees up and your neck forward?
Yeah, having my neck forward it was a period of a couple days.
Wow.
Now, what
That's
did
so
you
scary.
what did you overdose on, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I don't want to say the drugs
Okay.
to listeners.
Okay.
But was it
But it
was it intentional, unintentional?
Yes, it was a suicide attempt.
I got you.
Okay.
Okay. Did any of that have to do with being a veteran or anything like that, or other things?
It was because with a part of my mental illness. I was diagnosed with bipolar, PTSD, and depression, and so it was my mental illness that was just I felt lost, alone, and no reason to live anymore, and so I tried to take my own life.
Wow.
So, what is it like to live with paralysis? I mean, that's got to be so difficult. And then, what would you say are some of your biggest struggles?
Well, I think that it's hard, especially at the beginning, because I had to learn to do everything over again. Because when I first got paralyzed, I could only move my head back and forth, so I couldn't. My arms were like basically up to my chest. I had no use of any parts of my body except my head, and so I mean I had to learn to feed myself. I had to learn to sit up. I had to learn to straighten my arms. I mean, just everything that people take for granted, I had to relearn. And because it was so high of my spinal cord, my hands still are in fists, so it makes it hard to do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I end up using my mouth to do some things, and then I usually just using my fists. I squeeze things or hold things together. I mean, you can imagine not being able to open and close your hand to pick things up or just pick up simple things. So
okay, I'm just going to jump in and talk to Dr. Bonati, because I thought paralysis could only happen if the spinal cord was severed.
Well, it seems to be that what really happened is she compromised a vascular component.
Wow.
When she dropped her head down,
yeah.
and they create, I don't know why, that can be the position or can be some type of effect of what she took, but create a vascular problem. Okay. And then the vascular problem create a section of the spinal cord without being receiving any blood.
Wow.
And that create the paralysis. That's the only explanation that I have for your problem. Do you have anybody to see this? Do you have MRIs about this problem?
Yes.
And what did they say?
Ischemia.
Cervical ischemia. That's the blood problem. Now,
right.
Now, in did they when they did the MRIs, the integrity of the spinal cord is still there. Now, did they do some other studies? Did they do any studies to see if that area is just scar tissue was creating the problem or something like that?
No, on the MRI, you can see if you look at the spinal cord, because they actually showed me the MRI.
Yeah.
And you can see that area of the spinal cord is
white?
Like black.
Okay.
Or white.
Okay. So, well, one area of the spinal cord is totally obliterated then. Yeah. Well, that's what happened. Yeah.
Wow.
Jenny, it sounds like prior to your paralysis, you were in a pretty tough place. I can only imagine after coming to being in the hospital, realizing that you were paralyzed, it had to be really tough. Mm-hmm. But for now, for you to be where you are mentally and have this concept of never give up, mm-hmm. What happened? What changed your attitude? What happened in your life that you saw the good as opposed to the disparity?
Well, I knew just from waking up when I woke up in the hospital and I realized I was still alive, I knew at that point, because I had taken so much really strong medication that it should have killed me. And then I knew right when I woke up that I was living for a reason. And I mean, I wasn't religious or, read the Bible or gone to church, but I just knew that God had saved me for a reason. And that just for that reason, I just was always pushing myself. And like I mean, there's so much in the book that explains, but I mean, I continue to go through so much struggles because I was dealing with a lot of it on my own. I know I had no real family or anyone to stay by my side. So just, and then a lot of the therapists, because of my level of injury, they wanted to give me all this adaptive equipment. They told me, I'd have to be in a power chair the rest of my life. I'd never be able to live independently. And they just put boundaries on me because of the level of my injury. And like I'm in a manual chair. I push myself around. I live independently, and my arms work. People think, when they see me, they think I'm a paraplegic because my arms work so well. But even now the therapists want to put me in a power chair to make it easier on me. And it's like, that's just going to make me more limited and cause me to get more disabled.
It sounds like you're out to prove everyone wrong, and if they go to put a limit on you, you're of the mindset, I can do it on my own, and that takes incredible
guts and
strength and determination. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Are you moving your hand, or your hands in the
No, my hands still don't move, but I use tendinous so that when I bring my wrist up, it kind of tightens my fingers so that I'm able to hold things and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so what's your prognosis, Jenny? What do they all say? That you're pretty much stuck where you're at?
Yeah.
No treatments available?
My arms, can continue to get stronger. Like, they told me I had no triceps at the beginning, and I never have triceps. And just from constantly using my arms and painting and doing things I do, I now have, like, trace of triceps and some triceps in one arm. So I'm getting stronger in upper body, like my being able to sit up. Before I couldn't sit up.
If you have triceps, you have 7. The 7 root is working, so probably you are regenerating some of these nerves, because
that's what it shows.
Yeah, because the situation is, if you will be paralyzed in 4 or 5, I will understand your trouble. But you seems to be that you're using your bicep, you're using your tricep. You are way below the area that you are saying that you have a problem. I don't have an MRI to classify that, but you look like if you have tricep, you have 7 nerve root that is functioning partially. So probably the nerve is regenerating down. And if that happens, you're supposed to start to have extensors in your wrist and flexors in your wrist. If that happens, you're going to move your hands. How long ago since the injury?
It'll be 11 years this year.
Oh, 11 years already.
When they do my age exam each year,
yeah.
And now they have me at C6, C7, and so it changes.
Oh, you have a T6, T7 now?
Yeah, now, but the level of injuries at C5, C6.
Yeah.
When they do the mobility exam, they get me at C7.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now,
yeah.
why they didn't look? Because sometimes you may have, because of that injury, you may have a scar compression, and sometimes you release the scar. That will improve a lot of that recovery. Because seems to be your
I'm a veteran, so they don't do much looking into stuff at the VA.
Yeah.
Why don't, totally up to you, Jenny, and I apologize if it feels like we're overstepping, but privately we'll take your information, but perhaps you can send your films over to Dr. Bonatti if you'd like his opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Because
I would really love to.
Nobody's really given me a concisive of exactly what happened or what the issue is. They just keep giving me different ideas. Nobody knows for sure exactly what happened.
This is unbelievable that they get you at T6, T7 when the area that you have triceps is C6, C7, not T. So if you have T, you are way below the area. I really think maybe they're talking about C6, C7. But I would like to see your MRIs.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to. They haven't taken, and they won't take an MRI of me. I've asked them to take another MRI of me to see if it's changed.
Yeah, but you are a warrior, so we'll be more than happy to bring you over and do an MRI in our facility.
And
Do
Jenny,
us
we
a
want
favor, hang on the line because we need to wrap up the
I have
segment.
all of her information, so I can loop everybody in.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us. Honorable Air Force veteran and quadriplegic Jenny Mayer, whose latest book, Never Give Up, details her struggles with this condition. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us here on American Medicine Today.
Thanks,
Thank
Jenny.
you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. All right. That's that.
It's not
Wow, I'm just speechless because perhaps you can help her, Dr. Bonatti. That about wraps things up. Make sure you check us out again next week. Thank you for tuning in to American Medicine Today. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.